Hi, Dr. Jo Messenger here. Thanks for tuning in. Today let's discuss the third, fourth and fifth dimensions and why what you used to do doesn't work anymore and what to do about it. Imagine an extendable ladder leaning up against a high-rise building. When you climb the lower extension of the ladder, you can see the ground, but the roof of the building and the sky both seem a long way away. On the low third dimension rungs of the ladder, people pray to God as a higher being, and ascended masters and angels are the messenger go-betweens. So people who restrict their understanding to only what they see and know in the physical plane restrict themselves to the lower extension of the ladder and third dimension possibilities. And this is not about right and wrong. This is about perception and understanding. People who only believe what they see, hear, feel, or are told by someone else and think they are separate from others or even superior to them are functioning with the energy, frequencies, and possibilities of the third dimension. On the third dimension rungs of the ladder, affirmations work. Repeated and continual positive affirmations can help change unconscious beliefs. However, the higher up the rungs of the ladder you're prepared to go, the more options are available to you. People who recognise their spiritual beings first are less driven by the quest for material things. These people become more trusting and willing to work in cooperation with others. They're more willing to work for the benefit of the community rather than just themselves, those close to them, or those who can benefit them in some way. People who function from the fourth dimension rungs of the ladder don't look for external guidance. They follow their inner wisdom. And this is key to progressing from the third dimension to the fourth dimension levels of development. Looking outside of yourself to God, authority figures, to someone else for guidance is a third dimension paradigm. Following your own inner wisdom is a fourth dimension paradigm, and this requires your perception of the universe to expand. The high fourth dimension rungs of the ladder are preparation for ascension into the fifth dimension paradigm, where you're required to be your own master. Self-mastery is the prerequisite. It is the key to entering into and maintaining fifth dimensional reality. In the fifth dimension, it is a prerequisite to accept responsibility for creating your own reality. It's a prerequisite to accept responsibility for all that you have created so far and all that you will create from now on. The fifth dimension rungs of the ladder is the level of co-creation with the divine. Not being a supplement, not being a supplicant like in the third dimension, but a fully responsible and accountable self-master and co-creator. Where some people are coming unstuck at the moment is still looking for spiritual signs and external guidance. Like they used to do, and what has worked very well for them in the past in the third and fourth dimensions. And no matter how much you might want it to or expect it to based on past history, this approach no longer works in the fifth dimension. In the fifth dimension, you are required to accept responsibility and make decisions for yourself and co-create with the higher realms and the divine in accordance with what is best for the greater good. The higher the rungs on the ladder you go, the more power you have access to and the more responsibility you are accountable for. On the high rungs of the ladder, you're not a sailor or a captain, but you're in charge of the whole navy. You will know you're ready for this when you no longer blame anyone else for your circumstances. When you're in charge of the whole Navy, you completely understand that the buck stops with you. The commander of the whole Navy knows that they are in service to others. The more clarity they have, the more humble they are, and the more decisive and more authoritative they are, the more everyone, including the universe, lines up to fulfill the orders. Functioning from self-interest, looking outside yourself for guidance, looking outside yourself for approval, refusing to work in community with others, or refusing to accept responsibility for what you've created so far and still blaming others, will prevent you from the higher rungs of the ladder, the fifth dimension, and will prevent you from being in charge of your Navy. Self-mastery is key. Do your inner work. Accept responsibility for what you've created so far. Stop being a victim. Stop blaming others for what has happened to you or what hasn't happened for you yet. Connect to your heart. Connect to your inner wisdom. Excuse me. Connect to your inner wisdom and make your decisions in accordance with your heart and your inner wisdom and in accordance with the greater good. Bring what you have learned and mastered from the third and fourth dimensions, the lower rungs of the ladder, with you into the fifth dimension and the higher rungs of the ladder. Be clear, be humble, be decisive, and be authoritative, and co-create with the divine in service to the greater good. If these criteria are not met, you're restricting yourself to the lower rungs of the ladder and serving in someone else's Navy instead of your own.